The deep black of space stretched forever, filled with cold stars and silent light. Far away, near the edge of human space, there was a lonely mining station called Orbis 9. It was not a place for romance or mystery. It was a place where people worked hard, traded goods, and tried to survive. But on one strange day, everything changed for Captain Ray Carter. Ray had been at Orbis 9 for 3 weeks. Waiting for a shipment of rare fuel, he had no big plans, no dreams of adventure, just quiet days and short walks across the station's narrow halls. But as he sipped his morning coffee, alarms rang through the docking bay. The voice of the station AI echoed incoming ships. Prepare for docking. Ray looked out the thick glass window, and his eyes narrowed. 2 ships, unlike anything in human design, were sliding toward the station. One shimmered with blue metal that glowed faintly. The other gleamed green with golden lights running along its hull. The ships landed almost at the same time, their engines letting out a soft humming sound. The docking doors opened, and the first to step out was a tall, beautiful alien woman with skin the color of the deep ocean and silver eyes that glowed. Softly, her long hair shimmered like liquid crystal. Moving as if a hidden wind played through it, she walked with calm, graceful steps. Her gaze locked straight on Ray before he could react. The second ship's door opened. Another tall, alien woman appeared. Her skin a soft green like spring leaves, and her hair a bright gold that seemed to catch the light and hold it. Her eyes were the color of warm sunlight, and like the first woman, she looked directly at Ray. The 2 women walked toward him, each with a steady and certain stride. Ray glanced around to see if maybe they were looking at someone else. But no, there was no mistake. They stopped only a few feet away from him. The blue-skinned woman spoke. First, her voice smooth and strong. Ray Carter, you are mine. The green-skinned woman stepped forward sharply. No, human, you are mine. Around them, station workers paused, their conversations dropping into whispers. 2 alien women fighting over a human was not something you saw every day. The air between the women felt electric, as if the station itself was holding its breath. They began to speak quickly in a language Ray could not understand. Their voices sharp, their hands gesturing toward him. It was not a friendly talk, it was a battle of words. And Ray was the center of it. Look, I don't know either of you, Ray said carefully. Us, raising his hands in peace, but his words did nothing. The blue-skinned woman glared at the green-skinned one and spoke in English. I am Lyra of the Silver Sea. He saved my people, and by our law, he is mine to bond with. The green-skinned one shot back. I am Nira of the Golden Fields. He promised to join my tribe, and by our law, he is mine. Ray's head spun. Saved your people. Promised to join your tribe. I've never, but before he could finish, Lyra stepped closer. Do not deny what is true. Nira mirrored her. Your heart remembers, even if your mind does not. The crowd grew larger. Whispers spreading fast. Some old miners muttered about an ancient prophecy told by alien traders long ago. It spoke of the man who unites the twins will change the galaxy. Ray wasn't sure what twins meant here. These women didn't look related, but the way people looked at him made his stomach twist. Lyra's hand brushed his arm, warm and firm. Come with me. I will take you to my homeworld. You will be safe. You will be honored. Nira caught his other arm, her touch soft but sure. No, come with me. You will see wonders you have never dreamed of. You will be loved beyond measure. Ray felt like a rope in a tug of war. Ladies, please, he began. But then Lyra's eyes flashed, and Nira's voice dropped into a dangerous tone. The station air seemed heavier, charged with something strange. Ray realized this wasn't just about love or attraction. This was about power, politics, and something deeper that he didn't understand yet. His mind raced. wondering how they even knew his name, why they thought he had saved them, and why they spoke as if the past was written in stone. He didn't know it yet. But the truth was hidden in a part of his life he could not remember. And whatever it was, it had just caught up with him. Here, on Orbis 9, in front of the hole. Station. The station AI's voice broke the tension. Warning, unidentified ships approaching fast. But Lyra and Nira didn't move, their eyes still locked on each other. Somewhere beyond the station walls, a new danger was coming, and Ray had the uneasy feeling that this was only the beginning. The alarms faded, but the tension in the docking bay stayed. Ray stood between Lyra and Nira, feeling the heat of their stares like twin suns. Around them, station workers pretended to keep busy, but their eyes followed every move. The air smelled of metal, fuel, and something sweet from the alien ships. A scent that felt almost alive. Lyra stepped forward first, her silver eyes catching the station lights. She spoke in slow, careful English. Ray Carter, you saved my people 3 years ago during the Battle of the Crystal Belt. Without you, the Silver Sea would have fallen. By our law, you are my bonded one, and I have come to claim you. Ray shook his head. I was never in the Crystal Belt, but Lyra's voice was firm. You were, though you may not remember. Our spirits remember, before Ray could answer. Nira moved closer, her golden hair catching a faint breeze from the docking vents. Her voice was soft but sharp. Ray Carter, 2 years ago, on the green. World of Varades, you promised me under the moon of rivers that you would join my tribe. You swore it with your hand on my heartstone. I waited, my people waited, but you did not come. Now I am here to take you as mine. Ray frowned. I've never been to Varades either. Nira tilted her head, her sunlight-colored eyes narrowing. Memory can be stolen, human, but truth cannot be erased. The two women faced each other now, their words slowing, their hands tightening into fists. Ray felt like he was in the center of a storm that had been building for years. Their voices dropped into their own language again, sharp and musical. Like blades wrapped in song. From the tone, Ray knew they weren't just arguing. They were fighting over him in a way that went deeper than simple affection. A tall station guard stepped closer. Captain Carter, is this a problem? Ray gave a weak smile. That depends who you ask. The guard's eyes darted between the women. I've seen trade disputes, but this is new. He stepped back, clearly not wanting to get in the middle. Lyra turned her gaze back to Ray. You think we are here by chance? We both found you at the same place, the same time, because fate has decided. Nira's lips curved in a cold smile. Or perhaps fate has decided I will win, and she will return to her waters alone. The tension pressed harder now. Ray's heart beat fast, not just from the pressure of their words, but from a strange pull he couldn't explain. Something about both of them felt familiar, like a song half remembered from childhood, but it made no sense. He had no memory of saving alien worlds or making promises under strange moons. The whispers in the crowd grew louder. One minor, an old man with a scar over his cheek, muttered, I've heard this story before, from the deep traders. They spoke of a man who would bind two royal bloodlines together. A man both worlds would fight over. Another answered, and if he refuses? The old man shook his head slowly. Then blood will fall across the stars. Ray took a slow breath, trying to calm his thoughts. Look, he said, speaking to both, I don't know what you think I did. But I'm just a transport captain. I haul fuel, scrap, and sometimes passengers. That's it. Lyra stepped even closer. The silver light in her eyes brightening. That is the surface of your life. But the truth lies below, and I will not let her take you. Nira's voice turned cold. Nor will I give him to you. The two women stood so close now their foreheads almost touched. Ray could feel the heat of their argument like a fire ready to burst. Then, without warning, Lyra reached into a pouch at her side and pulled out a thin, glowing band made of shifting silver metal. She held it up. "This is the bond circle of the Silver Sea. Once placed on your wrist, it will bind you to me for life." Nira's eyes flashed in challenge. And she reached into her own bag, pulling out a crystal heartstone that pulsed with golden light. "This is the heart of Varades. Once you place your hand upon it, your soul is tied to mine forever." Ray stepped back quickly, holding his hands up. "Whoa, slow down. I'm not putting anything on or touching anything until I understand what's going on." But neither woman lowered her offering. They were ready to seal their claim here. In front of everyone, the crowd leaned forward, waiting to see what he would choose. Some faces were excited, some fearful, some simply curious. The air seemed heavier, the space between heartbeats longer, and then the station lights flickered. A deep rumble shook the floor. The AI's voice came again, sharper this time, warning unidentified ships entering orbit, but Lyra and Nira didn't move. Their eyes stayed locked on him, and Ray realized that whatever those incoming ships were, they might not be his biggest problem right now. The station trembled again, a low vibration that ran through the metal floor like the growl of some distant beast. Ray's eyes darted to the large glass viewport where the dark shape of an unknown ship slipped into view, its hull black as the void, its lights glowing red like angry eyes. The station AI repeated its warning, but Lyra and Nira barely glanced at the threat. Their focus locked on each other. Ray felt the pull from both sides. Like two magnets dragging him in different directions, the guard returned, nervously tapping his wrist communicator. "Captain Carter, you need to make a choice. These two aren't going to wait forever." Ray gave a dry laugh. "Yeah, thanks for the advice." But inside, he felt the pressure building. It wasn't just the women staring at him now. It was the entire crowd. Merchants, miners, smugglers. Everyone wanted to see who he would choose. Lyra took a slow step forward, lifting the silver band higher, its metal swirling like liquid moonlight. She spoke clearly so all could hear. "I offer you not only myself, but my people, our fleets, our oceans of crystal, our loyalty until the stars fade." Her voice was calm, but there was a dangerous edge beneath it, the kind of tone that could turn to ice in an instant. Nira was not silent for long. She stepped to Ray's other side, holding the golden heartstone close to her chest, its light pulsing like a living thing. "I offer you my tribe, our endless green fields, our strong warriors, our rivers that sing in the night. I offer a life of peace, but only with me." Her eyes locked onto Ray's, and for a moment he felt like he might drown in their warmth. Ray's thoughts spun wildly. He didn't remember saving either of them, didn't remember any promises, yet deep inside, something stirred, like an old dream fighting to rise to the surface. The faces of these women felt like they belonged to another life, one he had lost somewhere in the black sea of space. The crowd began to murmur. Some called for him to choose Lyra. Others shouted Nira's name. It was turning into a spectacle. Small bets were even being made in the corners of the bay, as if his future was just another game to watch. Lyra suddenly stepped in front of Nira, her silver eyes hard. "You think to win him with pretty words. You cannot even protect him from what is coming." Nira's jaw tightened. "I have protected my people from more than you can imagine, and I will protect him as well. Something you could never do." Ray opened his mouth to speak, but a sudden crash of metal echoed through the docking bay. The black ship had docked, its airlock opening with a hiss like the breath of a predator. A group of figures stepped through, tall, armored, and faceless behind black masks. They moved with silent purpose, their weapons glowing faint red in the dim light. The station guard cursed under his breath. Raiders, Lyra and Nira turned toward the newcomers. Their rivalry momentarily forgotten. The leader of the raiders scanned the room, his voice deep and cold. "We are here for the human named Ray Carter. Give him to us, and we will leave this station in one piece." Ray's stomach twisted. "Well, that explains a lot," he muttered. The crowd shifted nervously, some taking steps back. The guard raised his blaster. "You're not taking anyone." The raider leader tilted his head. "Then you will all suffer." Before the first shot could be fired, Lyra moved like lightning, pulling a sleek silver weapon from her hip and aiming at the nearest raider. Nira was just as fast, drawing a curved blade that shimmered gold under the station lights. They fought side by side without a word, their movements sharp, graceful, deadly. Ray found himself frozen for a moment, watching them work enemies moments ago. Now in perfect sync, against a common foe. Blaster fire lit the bay, the air thick. With the smell of burning metal, the raiders were skilled. But they were not ready for the fury of two alien warriors protecting their claimed prize. Ray ducked behind a cargo crate, pulling his small pistol from his belt. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from a strange mix of awe and confusion within. Minutes, the raiders were forced back toward their ship, their leader glaring at Ray with eyes full of hate. "This isn't over, human," he growled before retreating, the airlock sealed. And the black ship pulled away into the endless dark. The station bay was left in silence, except for the heavy breathing of those who had fought. Lyra lowered her weapon and turned to Ray, her silver eyes softer now. "Do you see? I will protect you, no matter what comes." Nira sheathed her blade and stepped closer, her voice warm but fierce. "And I will stand between you and every danger, even if I must fight beside her." The guard gave Ray a look that said, "You're in deep trouble." Captain Ray could only sigh, his heart pounding. This wasn't just about marriage. It wasn't even just about politics anymore. Whatever passed, he had forgotten. It was powerful enough to draw warriors, raiders, and who knows what else straight to him, and he had the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much bigger storm. The battle was over, but the air inside the docking bay still felt heavy. The smell of burnt metal and scorched wires hung in the air like a warning. Station workers slowly returned to their duties, their eyes still darting toward Ray, Lyra. And Nira, Ray's hands shook slightly as he slid his pistol back into its holster. Not from fear, but from the weight of questions pressing against his mind. The raiders had come for him, not the station, not the cargo, only him. That meant they knew something about him, something he didn't. Lyra stepped closer, her silver eyes studying his face. "They will return. Ray Carter, they always return. When the prize is worth the risk." Nira nodded slowly, her golden hair catching the light. "And you, human, are worth more than they can measure." Ray frowned. "Why? Why am I worth anything to them, or to either of you? You both speak like I'm someone important, but I'm just a transport captain, nothing more." Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. "You are more than you believe." Nira's voice was softer, but no less certain. "You are the man who changed the fate of two worlds, and you don't even remember." Her words made his stomach twist. He had heard bits of this before saving Lyra's people, promising himself to Nira's tribe, but they sounded like stories told to someone else, not his life. "How can I be someone I don't remember being?" Ray asked, his voice tight. Lyra glanced toward the crowd, then back at him. "Not here. Too many ears. We will talk in private." They led him away from the docking bay. Through the narrow metal corridors of Orbisanine, every step echoed in the dim light. Ray noticed that even now, the two alien women stayed on either side of him, never letting him walk without one of them close. It wasn't just protection, It felt like possession. They entered a small maintenance room, far from the main hallways. The hum of the station's engines filled the silence. Lyra closed the door. Nira locked it. Then Lyra pulled a small silver disc from her belt and pressed it against the wall. A faint shimmer filled the air, a sound shield blocking all outside. "Ears, now," Lyra said. "I will tell you the truth." She began to speak of the Crystal Belt War, a battle between her people and an enemy fleet that wanted to take their oceans and harvest their living ships. She described a human captain who came to them in their darkest hour, guiding their fleets through dangerous asteroid fields, leading them to victory. "That captain was you," Lyra said firmly. "Even if your memory has been stolen, your actions cannot be undone." Nira spoke next. Her voice low and steady, she told of the moon of rivers on her homeworld, a sacred night when the waters turned gold under the light of two moons. A man had stood beside her, promising to join her tribe and help unite the scattered clans. "You spoke the words of our bonding oath with your hand on my heartstone, and in that moment, our fates became one," Nira said. Her gaze never leaving his. Ray rubbed his forehead. It sounded impossible, two different worlds, two different promises, both to him, and yet he could see flashes in his mind. Quick images of ships in the dark, the sound of alien waves, the touch of a glowing stone under his palm. The memories were faint, broken, but they felt real. Lyra stepped closer. "After the war, after your oath, something happened. Your records vanished. Your name disappeared from our histories. It is as if someone wanted to erase you." Nira's voice grew tense. "And now, after all these years, you reappear, and the raiders come for you. This is no accident." Ray leaned back against the wall. His thoughts spinning. If they were telling the truth, then someone had not only erased his past, but also hidden him in plain sight. But why? What was so dangerous about him knowing who he really was? Lyra's hand touched his arm. "You have a choice, Ray Carter. Come with me, and I will take you to the Silver Sea. My people can restore what was stolen from your mind." Nira took his other arm. "Or come with me, and the rivers of Varades will show you the truth. Our shamans can heal the wounds in your memory." Ray pulled away from both. "What if I go with neither of you? What if I stay here?" Lyra's eyes darkened. "Then the raiders will come again, and next time they will not leave without you." Nira's voice was almost a whisper. "And if they take you, you will never see the truth, only the chains they will place on you." Silence filled the small room. Ray's mind was torn. Part of him wanted to run far from both of them, hide somewhere deep in the uncharted systems, but another part, a deeper part, wanted to know, needed to know why his life had been stolen from him, and in the back of his mind, the flashes of memory kept coming, growing stronger. The sound of battle, the touch of alien hands, a promise made under a golden moon. Somewhere beyond Orbis 9, in the cold dark of space, the truth was waiting for him. But he had no idea if finding it would save his life or end it. Ray didn't sleep that night. He sat in his small rented cabin aboard Orbis 9, staring out the narrow window at the endless stars. The quiet hum of the station's life support systems was the only sound. But in his mind, there was no quiet. Lyra's silver eyes, Nira's golden gaze. Their words, their promises, their threats, they spun around in his head like two planets pulling him in opposite directions. He knew he couldn't stay here forever. The raiders had found him once, and they would find him again. The question wasn't if, but when, and when they came. He doubted the station's thin security would be enough to stop them a second time. A soft chime sounded at his door. Ray tensed. "Who is it?" The door slid open without an answer. Lyra stepped in, tall and calm, her movements smooth like flowing water. She carried a small silver case in her hands, setting it down on the table between them. "This," she said, opening the case, "is a seal of passage. It will let you travel through Silver Sea territory without question. No patrol, no blockade will stop you. If you take this, you can come with me now, and my people will give you sanctuary." She leaned closer, her voice lowering. "With me, you will have fleets at your command, the oceans of my world as your home, and the truth of your lost years returned to you." Ray stared at the glowing seal inside the case. It pulsed with a faint light, like it was alive. Part of him wanted to reach for it right then, but before he could speak, a second chime sounded at the door. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Nira stepped inside, golden hair falling over her shoulder. Her expression unreadable. She carried something wrapped in deep green cloth. Without a word, she set it beside Lyra's case and unwrapped it. Inside was the heartstone from before. Larger now, its golden light stronger. "This," Nira said, "is the heart of Varades in its full form. If you place your hand upon it, my tribe will recognize you as my bonded one. You will be given the lands between the twin rivers, warriors who will defend you, and the wisdom of our shamans to heal your mind." Lyra's jaw tightened. "He does not need your rivers." Nira met her glare. "And he does not need your cold seas." Ray raised his hands. "Enough." His voice was sharper than he expected. The two women fell silent, but their eyes still burned at each other. Ray stood, pacing the small space. "You're both offering me worlds I don't even know, power I never asked for, and a past I can't remember. But if I choose one of you, I'm choosing against the other, and you've made it clear that won't end well." Lyra spoke first, her voice softer now. "Ray Carter, sometimes the right choice is the one that ends the war before it begins." Nira's tone matched her calm, but carried more heat. "And sometimes the right choice is the one that gives you peace instead of endless battles." Ray turned back to them. "And what if I don't choose either? What if I go my own way?" Nira's gaze dropped for a moment. "Then you will walk into the dark, alone, and it will swallow you." Lyra nodded grimly. "And the raiders will not be the only ones hunting you. There are others far worse." Ray leaned on the table, looking at the seal, then the heartstone. He thought about the flashes in his head, the battle, the oath under the twin moons, the faces of these two women beside him in moments of danger. The memories were like puzzle pieces scattered in the dark. But he was starting to see the edges take shape. Suddenly, the station lights flickered. A deep voice came over the intercom. "Captain Carter, incoming transmission for you." "Priority 1, Ray frowned, walking over to the wall screen. When it came to life, the image of an older man appeared, his uniform marked with human fleet insignia, his face lined with years of command. "Ray," the man said, his voice heavy, "if you're hearing this, they found you. I don't have much time. But listen, you must remember who you are before you choose. The galaxy will burn if you get this wrong." The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by static. Ray stood frozen, his chest tight. Lyra's voice was low. "Who was that?" "I don't know," Ray said, though the voice had felt strangely familiar. Nira stepped closer. "You do know. You just don't remember." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Whoever he is, he confirms what I've told you. Your choice will change the galaxy." Ray looked at the seal, then at the heartstone. Both glowed softly in the dim cabin light, like two silent promises waiting to be claimed. His heart pounded in his chest. He didn't know which path was right. But he knew one thing for certain. Whichever he chose, there would be no turning back. The glow of the seal and the heartstone filled Ray's cabin like to small suns. Lyra and Nira stood on either side of the table, their eyes locked in silent challenge. Ray's thoughts swirled, but before he could speak, the station alarms blared again. This time sharper, faster, more urgent. The AI's voice cut through the noise. Warning, unidentified fleet entering proximity. Multiple hostile signatures detected. Ray shot a look at both women. Tell me this isn't about me, neither answered, but the way their expressions hardened told him the truth. Neera moved to the door. We need to get to the command deck, now. Lyra was already grabbing her weapon, silver light running along its barrel. Stay close, Ray. They hurried through the narrow corridors of Orbis 9. The air thick with a metallic scent of overheating systems. Station crew ran in every direction, some sealing bulkhead doors, others rushing to defense stations when they reached the command deck. The large front screens showed the black of space, now filled with dozens of dark ships. Their hulls marked with the same red lights Ray had seen before on the Raiders. Only this time, the fleet was much larger. The station commander, a thin man with sharp eyes, turned toward Ray. Captain Carter. They're broadcasting a demand. They want you. And they're giving us 5 minutes to hand you over. Ray's stomach sank. And if you don't. The commander's voice was flat. Then they opened fire. Lyra stepped forward. They will not stop with the station. They will hunt every ship that leaves here until they have him. Neera's voice was just as certain, and once they have him, the rest of us will be nothing but dust in the void. The commander looked at Ray. You've got friends in high places, Captain, or enemies. I don't know which, but you'd better decide quick. Ray clenched his fists. I'm not handing myself over to them. Lyra gave a faint nod. Good, because we have another option. She tapped the console. Pulling up a star map, a point of light blinked in a nearby sector. There's an abandoned listening post here, hidden in the rings of a dead planet. My people used it during the Crystal Belt War. It has stealth systems that can hide us from their scanners. Neera shook her head. Too dangerous. That post is deep in disputed space. If we go there, we'll be caught between 3 enemy patrol routes. She zoomed the map to another location. Varadi's space is closer. We can reach one of our river stations in hours, and my people will protect us. They were doing it again, each pulling in a different direction. Ray slammed his hand down on the console. Enough. You two both turned to him, surprised by the sudden force. In his voice, you want to protect me. Fine. Then work together for once, because if you don't, we're all going to die here. The silence that followed was sharp. Then, almost grudgingly, Lyra spoke, very well. But only until the danger passes. Neera gave the same reluctant nod, agreed. For now, the commander gave a short, humorless laugh. Glad you 3 have an understanding. Now move. You've got 4 minutes. Ray followed Lyra and Neera back to the docking bay. They moved quickly, each scanning corners for threats. When they reached the bay, Lyra's silver ship and Neera's golden one stood side by side, their engines already warming. Ray hesitated. Which one do we take? Lyra and Neera exchanged a look, then said at the same time, both, within minutes. The 2 ships undocked together, flying in tight formation out of Orbis 9's shadow. The Raider fleet spotted them immediately, breaking formation to give chase. Ray sat in the co-pilot seat of Lyra's ship, his heart pounding as the stars blurred past. Through the comms, Neera's voice came sharp and clear. 2 ships give us a better chance. They can't focus fire on just one. The Raiders came. Fast, their weapons flashing red bolts through the dark. Lyra's hands moved like liquid over the controls. Weaving through incoming fire with impossible grace, on the comms, Neera called out enemy positions. Her own ship's golden beams tearing into the Raider formation. For the first time, Ray saw them working together. Their styles different, but perfectly balanced. Lyra was precision. Neera was power, and together they carved a path through the chaos, but just as they broke free from the main group, a massive shadow fell over them. A ship larger than any Ray had ever seen emerged from the darkness, its hull covered in jagged black armor. The comms crackled with a deep, inhuman voice. "Ray Carter, you will not escape again." Lyra's eyes flicked to him. "Again?" Ray felt the cold rush of fear down his spine. "I've never seen that ship before," but even as he said it, another flash hit him, standing on a burning deck years ago. That same black armor looming in the smoke. The memory vanished as quickly as it came. The giant ship's weapons charged. Bright red light spilling across space. Neera's voice was urgent. "Ray, whatever happened before, you know something about them. Think," Lyra added. "We need more than weapons to win this. We need what's in your head." Ray's pulse thundered in his ears. The flashes came faster now. Orders shouted over comms, alien voices calling. His name, a desperate jump through collapsing space. Then, like a spark in the dark, an idea formed. "I know a way out," he said, his voice steady, "but you'll both have to trust me." The massive black warship loomed ahead, its red weapon ports glowing brighter with each second. Ray's hands tightened on the co-pilot controls as the memories in his mind began to align like stars forming a constellation. He could see it now. The last time he had faced this ship, the desperate maneuver that had saved him before. It wasn't just luck back then. It was skill, knowledge, and something the enemy didn't expect. He turned to Lyra. "Link our ship's nav systems." Together. She hesitated for only a moment before her silver fingers flew across the controls. Through the comms, he called to Neera. "When I say, cut power to your main engines and follow my trajectory exactly," Neera's voice came sharp and certain. "I'll trust you, but this better work." The Raider fleet closed in from behind, the massive flagship blocking the path ahead. It was a perfect trap, unless they could turn the trap against them. Ray's mind worked fast, remembering the shape of the battlefield from years ago. The flagship's armor had a weakness. Not in the front or the sides, but hidden underneath, just above the primary reactor core. But to reach it, they would have to dive straight toward the enemy. "Brace yourselves," Ray said, his voice steady. "We're going in." Lyra's silver ship and Neera's golden one surged forward. Engines screaming, the Raiders opened fire, red bolts streaking past. But the two ships danced between them in a deadly rhythm. The flagship loomed larger and larger, until its surface filled the entire viewport. At the last possible moment, Ray shouted, "Now!" Both ships cut their main power, coasting silently toward the underside of the flagship without engine heat or bright energy signatures. They became almost invisible against the blackness of space. The flagship's gunners lost their lock, searching the void for targets that had vanished from their scopes. "Keep drifting," Ray whispered, watching the sensors. They slid into the shadow of the massive vessel, the glow of its reactor faintly visible through gaps in the armor. "This is it," Ray said. "Fire everything you've got. Focus on." That point, Lyra's silver cannons roared to life, streams of shimmering energy tearing into the weak spot. Neera's golden beams followed, striking with perfect precision. The armor cracked, light spilling out like molten fire. The reactor shuddered, and alarms screamed across the enemy fleet. "Time to go." Ray shouted. Both ships reignited their engines, blasting away from the flagship as the reactor went critical. Behind them, a blinding explosion lit the darkness. Tearing through the Raider formation in a wave of destruction, the flagship broke apart, its pieces spinning into the void. The surviving Raider ships scattered, retreating into the black. Silence fell in the cockpits, broken only by the sound of their own breathing. Through the comms, Neera's voice came, quieter now. "You've done this before, haven't you?" Ray exhaled slowly. "Yeah. I guess I have." Lyra's silver eyes softened. Then the stories were true. "You are the man who saved us both. They regrouped near the edge of the system. The wreckage of the battle drifting behind them. For a long moment, none of them spoke. Ray looked between Lyra and Nira, their faces lit by the glow of their consoles. He knew the moment he had been avoiding had finally come. The choice? I could go with either of you, Ray began, his voice calm. But if I do, the others. World becomes my enemy, and the galaxy stays divided. He paused, meeting their eyes one after the other. Or, I could do something no one's tried before. Lyra tilted her head. What are you saying? Nira leaned closer to her screen. Ray, saying, he continued, that I'm not choosing between you, I'm choosing both of you. The silence that followed was heavy. Then Lyra's lips curved in a slow smile. It would be unprecedented. Nira's expression softened. And it would unite our worlds instead of tearing them further apart. They looked at each other. The tension of rivalry still there, but now, something else flickering beneath it. Possibility. Ray leaned back in his seat. I don't care what the traditions say. The galaxy's too dangerous for us to stay divided. Lyra finally nodded. Then let it be so, Nira echoed. Together then, they set a course not for the silver sea or Varades alone, but for a neutral star system where envoys from both worlds could meet. The news would spread fast to alien leaders and a human captain forging an alliance unlike any seen before. It would be talked about in trading halls, whispered about in pirate dens, and feared in the war rooms of enemy fleets as the twin ships sailed side by side through the darkness. Ray allowed himself a small smile for the first time in years. The flashes in his mind didn't feel like strangers' memories. They felt like his own, and though he didn't know what challenges lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain. He would face them with Lyra and Nira at his side, not as rivals, but as partners, not as enemies, but as family. Somewhere in the depths of space, far beyond their sensors, a shadow stirred, watching, waiting. The war wasn't over. Not yet. But for now, in the quiet between the stars, the man who had once been lost had finally found his place.